Buy plant equipment, hire plant equipment. Which one to do? Don't know? In today's Toolbox tip episode, we'll help you assess it. Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of Toolbox Tips here at WHC Hire. Thank you ever so much for joining us, and in today's episode we are going to answer one of those nitty-gritty questions of what's best for you. And is it best to buy, or is it best to hire your plant equipment? Well, we can't do too much more in here, so let's get ourselves outside and have a little look. There's three key things that you need to think about when you're doing your full assessment of what's going to be best for you and your company. The first one being the financial status of how much you can afford. Second is the risk that's involved with it. And third and finally is the frequency of how frequent you're going to actually use the piece of equipment. Let's start with the finance. So financially, how much is the equipment going to cost? How much is it going to cost to maintain it, transport it, have it serviced, have it loaded if you're using something like a telehandler? All those costs you need to incur to make sure that it's affordable for you and what kind of way you're going to pay for that machine. Versus obviously hiring machine, where all of that is taken into consideration and is all put in one price, paid for when you need to use it. The next thing is the risk. If you're purchasing a machine, you've got to think about how long you're going to be using it for and what you're going to get in return at the end of the day. Are you going to use it and run it into the ground, or are you going to use it and then sell it on in a few years? If you're thinking about selling in a few years, you need to be aware of the hours of the machines used, also the condition of the machine, and also the resale value. Now, with the market continuously changing, this just ups the risk when it comes to actually purchasing the machine instead of hiring one. And third and finally is the frequency. You need to be sure of how frequent you're going to use the machine. If you're going to be using the machine a lot, it may be more beneficial for you to purchase it. However, if you're only going to be using it now and again, it could be more beneficial for you to hire the equipment rather than purchase it. But regardless, they both have their pros and cons. Now let's have a look into the reasons why people choose to hire equipment instead of purchase it, starting with the availability. Now, if you've ever tried to purchase anything, it's never a simple procedure. If you're looking to hire something, you can organise that equipment to be delivered as and when you need it to make sure that you get the most out of your project. And not only that, there's not just one machine, there's multiple different ones that are specifically designed to make sure that your project goes really smoothly. The next reason why people choose to hire is the affordability. Now, instead of having to fork out a load of money and then having to organise how you're going to pay for that machine over a long period of time, people just choose to hire equipment because it's easy, single transaction, or an account that can be cleared every month, where equipment can be assigned to certain jobs to ensure that your cash flow stays strong and you keep above board. Next up is the servicing and the maintaining of the machinery. Now, when you hire a piece of machinery, it is serviced, it's maintained, and there's a full log and record of everything that's happened to that machine, including its hours, where it's been, etc., to ensure that when it's delivered to the next customer who needs it, it is in the perfect working condition and there's no issues, allowing people to make sure that they can get their jobs done in a timely manner and at the best of their ability. Next up, we've got transport of the equipment. Now, this is a really key aspect that you need to take into consideration, and a major reason why a lot of larger companies dealing with bigger machinery choose to hire rather than purchase. And it's the actual logistics of the machinery. Now, if you purchase a machine, you've got to be able to transport it, have someone to drive the truck to ensure that it's there safely and legally, and you've also got to make sure that if you're dealing with larger machinery, that you handle the logistics of it and hand in your notice of transport. This is another real key factor why people decide to choose a hire company who deals with all of the aspects of that, all in one price that's then paid at the end of hire. It makes things so much easier and allows people to just focus on the work they've got at hand and leave the rest to the people dealing with the machinery. With all these reasons and benefits why people decide to choose to hire plant equipment, there are some disadvantages. Number one is in being you don't own the equipment yourself, which gives you a small limitation on kind of when you want it, where you can get it, what time depots are open. So there is a bit of restriction. Next up is the quality of the equipment. Depending on where you hire your equipment from can depend on the quality and the outcome of your project. So it's always best to make sure that you keep a good eye on where you're getting your equipment from at the best rates you can afford. Don't forget, if you need to spend just a little bit more, it can be the massive difference in the long run. Apart from that, those are the only disadvantages to actually hiring machinery. Just flip that around and let's have a look at the advantages of purchasing machinery. Now, the advantages of purchasing machinery is, first, you own it, you can do whatever you want with it, you can sell it, you can pay it off, you can do whatever you want as and when you want to it. It is totally yours. Next up is the flexibility of having that. That means obviously you can run things as and when you want to it. You're more in control of that machinery. And with those advantages comes some disadvantages of purchasing the machinery. They're a large investment to start off with. It's a lot of capital to invest in at the start, which you can't guarantee that you're going to get back after purchasing the first time. You need to find somewhere to store it. So not only have you got to purchase the machine, you've got to find somewhere big enough or small enough to store it safely. Next up, we've got the maintenance cost and the annual testing that needs to be done if you're going to use a machine on site. This is something that you'll have to organise yourself, sort out the logistics, etc., etc. So it's quite a lot of time and investment you need to put into the machinery once you've purchased it. Then we've got the site downtime. Now, if you've paid for the machine, or if you're paying it on a contract purchase hire, whatever way you're paying for it, if that machine's not being used, you're still paying for it. So no matter what, you need to try and make sure that it's being used as much as possible to get the most out of your investment. And transport costs, another thing that you need to invest time, money, and also effort into to ensure that everything runs smoothly. So how do we conclude from this then? Which way is going to be the best direction for you? Now, after looking into all the pros and cons and all the reasons and benefits why people choose to hire rather than purchase, it's now down to you guys to make your own assessments of what's going to be the best road for you. There is no right or wrong answer. However, it's very clear that nowadays, with the movement of machinery changing on a yearly basis and the availability getting lower and lower with new manufacturers, that more people are turning to hiring rather than purchasing to get the most out of the machinery. If you'd like some more advice on which avenue is going to be best for you, then please feel free to contact one of our teams at WHC Hire, who'd be more than happy to have a little chat with you to see if we can help in any way, shape or form. And that's all we've got time for, guys. Thank you ever so much for joining us. We hope that this little tip has helped you identify what's going to be best for you and your business. Even if you're asking this question, do you want to hire? Do you want to purchase? Hopefully this has enlightened you and maybe put you on the right path to making the best decision for you and your business. Thank you ever so much for joining us. If you haven't subscribed to our channel here at WHC, please feel free just to hit the button below and hit the notification bell so you get notified every single time that we upload. And leave us a comment down below, because it helps the algorithm and helps us get the voice out for more and more people to get the most out of their plant equipment. Thank you ever so much again, guys. We're really looking forward to seeing you next week. But until then, have a fantastic week. Take care and bye-bye for now.